Hey guys, REDyTay here with another Pokemon challenge. Beating Pokemon Sapphire with only a Spheal was actually harder than I expected. I thought our type combo would carry us further, but either it didn't help as much as I hoped, or the stats were worse than I anticipated. Well, this challenge is going to have its fair share of bad stats too. And to add insult to injury, we're using a type I'm not the biggest fan of. Today we're going to see if we can beat Pokemon LeafGreen with only a Grimer. I know I messed around with this guy when I was younger, but the truth is I easily get bored of poison types, especially pure poison types. I feel like they're not great offensively, and I was going to say their type doesn't help them much defensively either, but, well, this image is technically proving me wrong. I was being a little pessimistic by focusing on our weaknesses because, yes, ground and psychic are prevalent enough to be a problem in this generation, but looking at the bigger picture, we resist fighting, poison, bug, and grass. Honestly, I only really care about the first and last resistances, but I forgot poison had that many. That being said, we don't have a lot of good attacks in our learned moveset. We only get 3 attacking moves, and the only really good one is Sludge Bomb, which we don't even get until level 43. Sludge isn't terrible, but I feel like it's going to get outpaced quickly. We also have a bunch of stat altering or stalling moves, but I don't think we're going to rely on those much. What's really going to help us in this challenge is our TM moveset. Yes, of course Toxic is on the list, but besides that, thank God we have some solid type variety. I wish we had a good water type move for ground types, but that's what Giga Drain is for. Unfortunately, none of these dark type moves are going to help us that much when it comes to sidekicks, but at least Thunderbolt and Flamethrower are great pickups. Now let's be realistic, Grimer already has some strikes against it when it comes to its moveset, and I'm still not convinced poison types are a good type. But what's really going to make this challenge difficult is the stats. We're sitting around first stage starter level, which is bad, but we've done this before. The real problem? We're basically a very slow, fragile physical attacker with alright HP. I do not like that stat spread, and I think the only way we're going to get through this challenge is by being way over leveled, especially when it comes to the end game. Well, let's dive in, but first, the rules. I can only use Grimer throughout the entire challenge, however I can use extra Pokemon for HM purposes so we can still get around. No glitches or hacks can be used to advance, and I will be following the trend of not using any items in battle, only held items given to Grimer before the battle starts. I know I sound like I'm dreading this challenge, but honestly I'm kind of excited for this run. This feels like it's going to be a solid challenge, and who knows, maybe we'll come up with some creative strategies to win. So, we try to leave town, get stopped by Professor Oak, get taken back to the lab, and receive our Grimer. I use the Pokemon Randomizer to replace Bulbasaur with Grimer. None of the starters have an advantage over us, so we might as well swap out the part poison type for a pure poison type. I nicknamed our Grimer Archangel. Some people might get that reference. Our nature is Calm, which increases special defense, but lowers our attack. There are pros and cons to this. Our best stat is being hindered, while one of our worst stats is slightly boosted. Honestly, this might not be the best trade-off we could have gotten, but we're going to roll with it. Our ability is Sticky Hold, which prevents us from losing our held items in battle. I feel like this ability is rarely going to come into play, but it's better than the alternative, Stench, which reduces wild Pokemon encounters. That is not ideal if we have to do a lot of grinding later on. Our stats already match the distribution we talked about earlier, and our starting moves are Poison Gas, Pound, and Harden. So not exactly the best genesis of a challenge, but we've also seen worse. You know, for a physical attacker, we're not exactly hitting hard right out of the gate, and our first battle definitely shows that. Sure, we are only level 5 and just starting the game, so of course we're not some uber powerful force to be reckoned with, but Pound is really underwhelming as an attacking move right now. That's why I open our first rival battle by poisoning Charmander with Poison Gas. The extra damage each turn helps us stay ahead in damage output, and we barely secure the win. We finished the fight in orange health, but honestly I think the battle was much closer than it looked. Well, there's not much else to talk about in the early game aside from our rematch with our rival. Of course he has a Pidgey, and his whole team is at a higher level, so I'd be pretty stupid if I didn't grind Archangel up before diving in. We jump into this battle at level 10, starting off by boosting our defense with Harden. Getting hit with Sand Attack from Pidgey isn't great though. We use Harden again, accidentally open up the game health menu, and then Pidgey finally goes on the offensive with Tackle. Despite the Sand Attack, we manage to land Poison Gas on Pidgey, which is a relief. Pidgey goes for another Sand Attack, which is a bit concerning, but at least the poison damage is ticking down no matter what. Because of this, we take the opportunity to use Harden a couple more times, but we do need to start attacking if we actually want to win this thing. Of course, as most of us saw coming, Pound starts missing. but not every time. When it does land, it actually gets Pidgey into red health while we're still comfortably in the green. Pidgey manages one more tackle, which barely does anything, and one last pound takes it out. Now it's Charmander. Its scratch barely does anything to us, but we waste our first turn by missing Poison Gas. The next turn plays out exactly the same way. Well, we need to start dealing damage, so we abandon Poison Gas and go for Pound, which also misses. Pound finally lands on the next try, doing about a fifth of Charmander's health and damage. As long as it keeps landing, we can catch up. But of course, we miss again. Thankfully, 2 more land, putting Charmander in a worse spot than we are, or at least that's what I thought, until another scratch puts us both into red. Pound misses again, yikes, and we're down to 2 HP. This is bad. Thankfully though, Pound lands this time, because if it hadn't, we would have lost on the next turn. That was very close, but the important thing is, we won. Now we should have a much easier time battling the trainers in Breeding Forest to rack up some more experience. Oh yeah, being a poison type is really coming in clutch here. Sure, we're not resisting bug type moves, if there are any, but our opponents don't really have anything good to use against us either. This is the perfect place to grab some extra experience because, as we all know, Brock is going to be a brick wall like he always is in these challenges. We only have Pound right now, and that move is barely going to scratch his team. I have no idea what level we'll need to be for this battle, but obviously somewhere in the teens is a good place to start. So I completely forgot that we learned Sludge at level 13. I know this move isn't exactly strong, but it is stab, and that might be helpful. That said, I did mention grinding into the teens, and 13 might be a little too low to win this fight. Still, we might as well test where we stand against Brock. Right away, Sludge is lackluster, but even so, it's clearly better than Pound in this situation. Unfortunately, Geodude uses Defense Curl, which is really not helping our damage output. We could use Harden to buff our own defense, but honestly I feel like we need to stick with our weak offensive assault. Problem is, Tackle is doing more damage to us than Sludge is doing to Geodude. Good news though, we poisoned Geodude. Thank God Brock doesn't spam full heals in this game like he does in the originals. Now that poison damage is working in our favor, Harden is actually a safe play. This gives us some breathing room, but we're basically in the same spot as Geodude. And that's not good because we still have a full health Onix waiting for us. Eventually we max out our defense with Harden, so we go back to attacking. Except I was an idiot and got distracted by other stuff, so I kept using Harden even though it wasn't doing anything anymore. Thankfully the poison eventually finishes off Geodude anyway. Now it's time for Onix. And Sludge is even worse against it. To make things even more worse, Onix's Tackle lands a critical hit, and while we do manage to poison it, we're just not ready for this fight. We go down soon after. Alright, obviously we need to grind some more, but to what level? Well, I feel like Sludge might still carry us to victory, so I grind Archangel a few more levels and decide 15 might be a good place to revisit things. So here goes nothing. And it's a really good start, because Geodude gets poisoned on the first hit. But yeah, the actual damage is still pretty weak. Luckily, Geodude likes spamming Defense Curl, which gives us the chance to spam Harden and buff our own defense, while Poison slowly chips away at it. This strategy works perfectly. Geodude keeps getting weaker, and when it does attack, it barely does anything to us. Eventually, Poison finishes it off, and we're still in the green when facing Onix. Onix's first tackle misses, while our Sludge lands and poisons it immediately. Another great start. Since our defense is already maxed, we stay on the offensive with Sludge even though it doesn't do much. But between our attacks, poison damage, and higher defense, we easily outpace Onix in damage output. It's not a fast fight, but in the end, we still get the win. That grind wasn't too bad, and we're still in a good spot to take on Mount Moon. Of course, something happens in this cave that I totally forgot to mention earlier. There's a trainer here with a Magnemite, and guess what? It's part Steel type, and Steel types are immune to poison moves. I completely forgot about that. We do still have Pound, but that move barely does anything. Unfortunately, it's the best we got though. To make matters worse, Magnemite uses Supersonic and confuses Archangel. We take some confusion damage, which makes things a little scary, and we actually fall into red before Magnemite does. But thankfully, we dodge the Supersonic and finish it off with one last Pound. After that, the rest of Mount Moon is pretty easy to get through. We rack up a solid amount of experience, keeping a slight level lead. We grab the Dome Fossil, reach Cerulean City, and immediately run into another rival battle. This battle goes smoothly despite getting hit with a sand attack right away, but our first Sludge lands and poisons Pidgeotto while dealing huge damage. It goes down soon after. Abra's next, but since it only knows Teleport, it doesn't even put up a fight. That being said, I am dreading this thing in basically every rival battle for the rest of this challenge. Next up, REDyTay. Gets a chance to attack us since Sludge misses, but our next one lands and one-shots it. Last is Charmander, which attacks with Metal Claw. Probably thinking it's super effective, but it's not. Meanwhile, Sludge hits much harder and poisons it. One more Sludge and we easily win the battle. We then go through Nugget Bridge and all the trainers on the way to Bill's house. At this point, I think we're ready for Misty. I am a little nervous since Starmie is part sidekick, but I don't think it'll be too much of a threat. Turns out I didn't need to worry. Sludge lands as a critical hit and one-shot Staryu, so it really wasn't even in the battle. Oh, and Starmie? Yeah, the same exact thing. Sure, we got a bit lucky, but even though Starmie was faster and hits us with Water Pulse, it barely did any damage. So honestly, I'm pretty sure we still would have been fine even without those crits. But after this battle, we hit a bit of a hurdle. If you see my special episode on my Pokemon Yellow playthrough series, you know where this is going. I had some computer issues, and I thought I backed up all my project files before wiping my computer and reinstalling the operating system, which is partially true. I did back up almost all of my files before the update. The only issue, the save files for the game are stored in a different location, and I forgot to back those up. It wasn't until I reinstalled all my programs that I realized I had to restart this challenge completely to get back to where we were before the technical difficulties. All because I forgot to back up my save files before wiping my hard drive, which delete forever the progress we made in this challenge. And I wanted this to be as close to the original run as possible, which meant spending a long time restarting the game until I got a male Grimer with Sticky Hold and a Calm Nature. That's a 1 in 100 chance to get that type of Grimer, but honestly it felt like it took way longer than what it should have for that. I was doing this at night, but once I got the correct Grimer, it wasn't too late. It's not like I was up till 4 AM trying to get the right Grimer, and catching up to where we beat Misty wasn't too bad. Hey, it could have been worse. The same thing happened during my yellow version playthrough, and at that point in the game, we had already beaten Koga. There was a lot more ground to cover. But now that we're caught up, I have to be honest, we might not have the exact same moveset as before. I couldn't remember what moves I had Archangel forget and learn, but I'll admit, none of these moves are really going to be around by the end game anyway. So with that taken care of, we're back to where we left off. Time to move through the SS Anne and take on our rival again. Now I thought this would be the point where our rival battles start getting tougher, but this wasn't exactly the case. The sand attack from Pidgeotto could have been a problem, but Sludge makes it a one-shot. Kadabra's next, and this is where I thought we'd really struggle. It is faster than us, but it just used Disable, and that missed. So we get out of this exchange unscathed thanks to another Sludge. We're up to level 32, and from here the battle stays pretty uneventful. We take some damage from Hyper Fang, and Sludge does miss against Charmeleon, but we have way too much of a level lead right now. Sludge is just too powerful for this fight, but we see the same outcome against Lieutenant Surge. Yeah, pretty much. Voltorb and Pikachu both can't handle even one Sludge each. Raichu barely survives and gets healed back into the green with a Super Potion. I was planning on using Pound to knock him out, but since he's at fuller health, he's just a little bit below half now. The one problem we experience here is that since Pound is a direct physical move, we trigger Raichu's static ability and Archangel gets paralyzed. Raichu goes on the offensive with Shockwave, but it hardly does anything, and we manage to push through Paralysis and Raichu's Raised Evasion to land one more Sludge to win the battle. Still a pretty easy fight, all things considered. But now we have to deal with Rock Tunnel and the Hikers, which won't be as easy of a task to complete. The problem is still glaringly obvious. We don't have a good move to deal with these rock ground types in this game. We have a weak strategy, but in most cases it's good enough to get by. We just use Sludge and hope it poisons our opponent. Then focus on raising our defense with Acid Armor or attacking with Sludge or Pound while the poison damage adds up a little more each turn. It's not efficient since the battles easily become long and drawn out due to our terrible damage output, but it works. It's also really inefficient when it comes to power points since we only have 2 attacking moves and we run out of power points for those moves about halfway through the cave. We don't really have a choice but to use an escape rope, get out, heal up, and continue wandering through Rock Tunnel. Also, yes, the Hiker with the exploding Gravelers was a problem. We had to give that battle a couple of attempts. Archangel has great defense, but that attack does not add up when you're subjected to it several times. We take too long trying to take this Hiker's team out. So we're just asking for our opponent to attack fast and hard with Self-Destruct. Or Magnitude, since we had some instances where we had a bad roll on that move as well. But eventually, we make it out of Rock Tunnel, and you know what that means. Yep, we heal up and have another rival battle. Will this one be the one where Kadabra becomes a menace? First we have to deal with Pidgeotto, which we're faster than now, but it's strong enough to withstand our Sludge. It attacks with Gust, which is hardly worth mentioning. Our rival doesn't heal up, and we knock it out with Pound. Execute is up next, and while it could be interesting to battle in future challenges, for now we're faster, and since it's part grass, Sludge makes really short work of it. Okay, now we're facing Kadabra. What? Look, I knew it was going to be faster than us, but I really didn't think it was going to waste another turn by missing Disable. Oh well, down it goes with Sludge. Gyarados can be a problem since its Intimidate activates and we're physical attackers. Its Thrash isn't doing much, but Archangel's Sludge only takes Gyarados to half health. Luckily, we managed to poison it, so that's great. Gyarados sticks with Thrash while we use Acid Armor to buff our defense. Shortly after, Gyarados becomes confused from thrashing, hurts itself in its confusion, and a Pound from us takes it down. Last now is Charmeleon, and we're at level 40, so I think that means we unintentionally timed this perfectly. Don't level ups remove stat debuffs and we are back to normal? If so, our attack is no longer hampered from Gyarados' Intimidate. Charmeleon takes us to half health with Ember and our Sludge matches that. Charmeleon sticks with its fire move and we use a couple pounds to wrap up the battle. I'm really surprised that our rival isn't fighting better than this, but I'll take it for the time being. We are moving through this challenge at a pretty good speed, and I don't think we are going to get stalled at all with our upcoming battle with Erica. Sure, her team is part poison types, but she is the grass gym leader, so we definitely have the advantage here. Oh yeah, every member of her team is a one-shot with Sludge. Well, Vileplume survives actually in the yellow and responds by paralyzing Archangel with Stun Spore. Its Giga Drain is really weak here and clearly doesn't heal it up enough to withstand another Sludge, so Vileplume faints in the next turn. So now we have half the gym badges we need in the game, and we're also in Celadon, which means we are in the best spot to think about TMs. Looking back at the list, it's clear to see that Grimer has some solid coverage. I just wish it had a water or ice attacking move here. For a good portion of the run, I was really thinking we needed to get the TM for Thunderbolt, but the more I thought about it, I don't really see the point. The main struggles we have been dealing with so far are rock and ground types, and they are completely immune to electric attacks. Flamethrower? Well, we already set to deal with grass types, and sure, it would help with the annoying steel types, but in this game, that really only consists of Magnemite and Magneton. How many more of those do we really even need to fight? I want a special attack even though we don't really have the best stat for it. Well, we did just get the TM for Giga Drain from Erica, and that would be useful against the rock and ground types. I hate the 5 power points that it has, but we can always bump that up with some power point ups we find throughout the game. Actually, this move came around at the perfect time, since we now have to beat Team Rocket out of the game corner, which means we have to deal with Giovanni, who could actually be a threat since he likes his ground types. First out is Onix, and it easily goes down from Giga Drain. Same can be said for Rhyhorn too. Kangaskhan is not part ground, so we change gears by attacking with our new Sludge Bomb, but not before getting hit by a Mega Punch. We lose a little damage from a bite, and then finish this battle with one more Sludge Bomb. So now that we have this done, we can go back to Pokemon Tower, and I was dreading the battles against the Chandlers here. Mainly because the ghost types in this game are all part poison, so they resist all of our attack moves we can actually use against them. That being said, we can easily one-shot them easily enough. Thankfully, there's that little healing spot on the floor to replenish power points. All that aside, I do skip some of the trainers here so we can get through this part of the plot quicker. We wrap all this up easily enough, but we still have to deal with fighting poison types now that Koga is up next for our badge run. Guys, this went worse than I expected. I was already expecting this battle to not go smoothly, but this was so much worse. Poison does not resist poison, so neither one of us is doing major damage here. But his whole team is tanky defensively, and if they use moves like Smokescreen, then the battle gets stalled pretty easily. Now saying all of that, you think that this battle would be kinda close, but we can't even beat Muck at this point. Which I guess makes sense considering it is the evolved form of Archangel, and Koga likes using Hyper Potions to heal up. We can't keep up in these situations. So I guess grinding is in order. During this period of leveling up, I remembered that we got the TM for Hidden Power thanks to one of our Meowths with the pickup ability. I gave it to Archangel, and after some random battles, I came to the conclusion that Archangel's Hidden Power is Electric type, which is not helpful in this situation. The battle against Koga confirms that Hidden Power is not enough for us to get past him. So I went back to my save file before we had Hidden Power and decided to grind some more and get the team for Flamethrower at the game corner. We'll stick a pin in it to remember that Archangel's Hidden Power is Electric just in case we need it in the future. I wanted another special attack option on the moveset, and it's not the best move in this situation, but I think Flamethrower might just be enough for us to get the win here. We are at level 50 at this point, and stats aren't looking great at this level outside of our attack stat. I expected speed to be the weak link, but both of the special stats aren't that great either. We have poison, fire, and grass moves, which feels like weird coverage. It's odd, considering that this doesn't give us any effectiveness against Koga. This becomes pretty apparent since we are still losing at this level. Coughing almost goes down to a flamethrower and starts the battle with a smokescreen. Koga heals Coughing with a hyper potion, and of course our flamethrower misses on the next turn. And the one after that. Sludge barely does anything to us, and our luck switches as we land 2 flamethrowers to take Coughing out. Muck is next, just like always, and we deal suboptimal damage with flamethrower. We're having the worst odds now, thanks to Muck using Minimize several times. So yeah, Flamethrower misses, and by the time we get another hit, Muck is still in the green. Muck then wastes some turns with Acid Armor and Sludge, so neither one of us is having an efficient leg of the battle here. We land what I was hoping would be the last Flamethrower for Muck, but it survives with just a little bit of health left. Good news though, Muck is burned. Even better news, I thought Koga was going to heal Muck up, but instead he just has Muck use another weak Sludge, and thanks to the burn, it goes down. Okay, we've never made it this far, so let's see how this pans out. The second Coughing is up now, and our Flamethrower lands, but it still is not a one-shot. I was about to take out Coughing with Flamethrower, but instead I decided to take the moment to raise our Angel's defense with Acid Armor. It wouldn't have mattered anyway since Koga uses another Hyper Potion here. Another Acid Armor, then a Flamethrower, and then Koga makes the battle more interesting by having Coughing use Self-Destruct. Yikes. Would we have fainted if it wasn't for the Acid Armors? I was originally using these buffs for Wheezing Self-Destruct, but now we're in a bad spot no matter what if he uses that move. Flamethrower is still lackluster, but it's doing better than the Sludge we've been subjected to. But hey, the second Flamethrower takes Wheezing into yellow health and burns it, so this is looking hopeful. I mean, we're still in red health, but at least Wheezing is too. But wait, Koga uses a full heal, so no more burn damage. That's alright though, because we use a Sludge that deals just enough damage to knock out Wheezing and win the battle. Jeez, that was rough, but at least we were still able to squeak through. And now we have the team for Toxic. I want to use this move, but I can't really justify getting rid of one of our other moves at the moment. So we're just going to keep this in our back pocket for now. It is fitting though, because this is the ultimate poison move, and I feel like the creator of Archangel in real life is a little toxic. Moving on, we deal with Saffron City and Silphco, which means we get to see if this is where our rival finally becomes a problem for us. And the consensus is, our rival is officially a challenge. We are making our way through this team better than we did against Koga, but we keep going down to Charizard, surprisingly enough. Yeah, again, Alakazam is not a threat here, which is still really surprising to me. Maybe it'll be in-game around the Elite Four? Anyway, Gyarados lowers our attack with Intimidate, which means we can't take Charizard out as fast as it takes us out. Oh, and I did catch 30 Pokemon before all this so we could have the item finder and find leftovers, giving Archangel some extra healing each turn. The healing does help, but Charizard's damage output still hurts. We gave this several attempts and got the same result each time, Charizard burning us to oblivion. So we backed up and battled as many trainers as we could find in Silphco. This got us to level 57 by the time we revisited our rival. We can still lose at this point, but things are improving. In one attempt, we landed a critical hit one-shot Sludge Bomb on Pidgeot at the start. Sure, we took a little extra damage from a wing attack, but leftovers should fix that. Execute also goes down in one move, but this time to Flamethrower. Okay, Alakazam time. Show me what you got. Calm Mind? Sure, that's a waste of time. Sludge Bomb one-shots and we're moving on. Gyarados is out, so that means a lowered attack stat for the remainder of the battle. Sludge Bomb though lands a critical hit, so we actually take Gyarados out quickly, and that means we are now facing Charizard with the most health we have had in all of these attempts. We can take more hits now, and we're still in the green after the first Flamethrower. But all that doesn't really matter considering the first Sludge Bomb we used on Charizard lands as a critical hit one-shot. Okay, yes, we got really lucky in that win, but I think we could still have taken Charizard out several turns later if that wasn't a critical hit in our current situation. After all of that, it's nice to have an easier battle next with Giovanni coming right up. That battle starts with a poison versus poison matchup, but we are using Flamethrower, which is obviously hitting much harder than Nidorino's Poison Sting. Another Flamethrower takes him down, and next is Kangaskhan. She attacks first and does better than Nidorino thanks to her Mega Punch. We are sticking with Flamethrower. Both sides change gears soon after. Kangaskhan uses Rage and we attack with Sludge Bomb. Oh, maybe I should have used that move sooner. Kangaskhan is now out of the picture and we have Rhydon to take care of with Giga Drain. And yeah, that was real easy too. So now it's time for Nidoqueen. Back to Flamethrower. Nidoqueen doesn't have much she can use against us if she's attacking with Double Kick, so we stick with Flamethrower and it's paying off big since we land a burn on Nidoqueen. I thought another Flamethrower would knock her out, but she's hanging on with a Sliver. Oh, but wait, she's burned, so that burn damage tacked on at the end is enough to end the battle for us. It's nice to have such an easy win under our belt considering we have Sabrina to contend with next. This is one of the gym battles where we are at an extreme disadvantage because of our type matchup and our speed stat. The one thing we have going for us is a high attack, and thanks to our team having low defense stats as a whole, we can do a lot of damage with Sludge Bomb, but we need to attack first if we want a chance. Dabra is faster than us, but since it wastes a turn with Calm Mind, we are still able to knock it out with a single Sludge Bomb while we're still being at full health. Mr. Mime does the exact same thing and goes down the exact same way. Alakazam is next, and this could be interesting. I'm surprised we survived the Psychic, but we miraculously do, and Sludge Bomb is still strong enough to take it out. Venomoth is now out, and this is the one I thought we could outspeed, but we don't, and I honestly thought the battle was over with that Psybeam. But we miraculously survive again with 8 health, and this gives us a chance to use Flamethrower, which hits hard enough to give us the win. Phew, that was close, but we squeaked out the win once again. I feel like that battle was always going to be close no matter how we pulled off the victory. But now we can move on, and I think Blaine will be an easier one for us to take care of. Guys, I couldn't be more wrong. We cannot beat Blaine. Yes, Blaine. We aren't even weak to fire moves. What the heck? Our problem basically comes down to the fact that our special defense is just awful. Blaine's Pokemon basically only attack with Fire Blast, and Intimidate ruins our attack output. Remember, we don't learn any water moves, and besides, I wouldn't want to replace any of the moves we have at the moment anyway, unless there was an Acid Armor version for special defense. So I guess we have no choice but to grind. It's hard to believe it, but losing to Blaine is our reality now. So after spending some time at the Pokemon Mansion, we are 6 levels higher at level 65. Things are looking better, but the win isn't coming easy. Basically, everyone is easy to take out except Arcanine. It's still a major thorn in our side. To make matters worse, there were a couple of instances where he burned us with Fire Blast, and since we are a physical attacker, there's just no way we can take it out with our diminished attack stat. Well, actually our attack is down 3 stages since we get hit by 2 Intimidates and a burn, but you get the gist. That and the burn damage that accrues each turn is not helping either. But then we got this crazy battle. Trust me, as Blaine battles go, this game really pulled out all the stops to make this one interesting. Well, the beginning parts of the battle are not interesting actually. Like I said, Sludge Bomb one-shots Growlithe and Ponyta. In some of these attempts it one-shots Rapidash, and at other times it falls just short. This time it falls short, but the good news is its Fire Blast missed, so Blaine had to use a Hyper Potion to heal up, and the other Sludge Bomb still falls short of knocking Rapidash out. But oh wait, it's poisoned, which means it gets some poison damage, and it just so happens to be enough to knock Rapidash out. Well, we are at full health with Arcanine now out. But this doesn't make the battle easy. We are back to having 2 stages of lowered attack thanks to these Intimidates, and Arcanine is coming out swinging with its first Fire Blast, taking us to half health easily. Sludge Bomb lands and almost takes Arcanine to half health, but we still have some good luck on our side considering Arcanine is now poisoned. Okay, now Arcanine is at half health. Of course, Blaine just so happens to use a healing item correctly for once by using full heal to cure Arcanine of its poison status. Another Sludge Bomb from us looks like it's going to seal the win. Ooh, so close. That has to be 1 health, which of course, here comes Blaine using a Hyper Potion again. Sludge Bomb is still the move of choice here, even if it doesn't poison. The good news here is we have been healing each turn, so yeah, we might have gotten hit by another Fire Blast, but we can survive it. Don't think we can survive another one though. That makes things scary since our next Sludge Bomb falls short again and taking Arcanine out. But hey, we poisoned it again. Oh, and the poison damage almost took it out. Okay, this has to be 1 health. I can't even see the pixel on the health bar. By this point, I feel like we were a goner, but Fire Blast missed, which means we get a chance to land a Flamethrower to finally win this nail-biting battle. Geez, Arcanine is making it on the thumbnail for this video for sure. We could have lost at any point after that first Fire Blast. Okay, enough talk about Blaine. We have 1 more gym badge to get, and this time Giovanni could be a problem. I know, shocking, but this is only because we are extra susceptible to ground moves. Sure, we have Giga Drain, but that won't help when it comes to Nidoqueen and Nidoking. And yes, I am most worried when it comes to those two. Rightfully so, too. The majority of his team is pretty easy to handle, again thanks to Giga Drain. Well, not all of his team. The move doesn't have a lot of power points after all, so we might need to be smart about how we use them. Nidoqueen comes out soon enough, and we take some time trying to figure out how to attack it. It basically resists all of our moves, but eventually I decided Flamethrower is the best option we got. It's funny how well we are at taking these Earthquakes though. I mean, we are extra weak to it. Giovanni has a stronger Pokemon than Blaine. Earthquake is possibly the strongest ground move in this game, and yet Fire Blast was wrecking us more in the last gym battle. I decided to give Giga Drain a shot next just to see how it looks. It did better than I thought, but it's still not great. So we switched to Flamethrower to take Nidoqueen out, but not before getting hit by another Earthquake. Well, there's one threat down. How will it go against Nidoking? It brought us down to 2 health from Earthquake. We attack with a Flamethrower, heal up to 14 health with leftovers, and then go down from another Earthquake. Okay, well I could grind or give this another go. So we give it another go, and we still lost. But I do have a little bit of a plan, so maybe we could still win this battle at our current level. We're starting our 3rd attempt by not attacking Rhyhorn right out of the gate, but instead spamming Acid Armor. I feel like this is the best place in the battle to buff our defense. The cost is that our speed is rapidly falling thanks to Rhyhorn using Scary Face, but you know what, I'm okay with that trade. It does eventually go on the offensive with Earthquake, but look how little damage it's doing. I did waste a turn though by using Acid Armor after our defense was already maxed out. I wasted the next turn too by attacking with a Sludge Bomb. But the next turn goes better as we knock Rhyhorn out with a Giga Drain. We do the same thing with Dugtrio in the next turn. So we're back to dealing with Nidoqueen. Flamethrower takes it to almost half health, but hey, Earthquake is not hitting as hard as it did earlier. Another Flamethrower takes Nidoqueen to red health and burns it. Burn damage is tacked on, but Nidoqueen is still standing, meaning Giovanni uses a Hyper Potion. Well, we don't really have a better plan than Flamethrower, so we stick with it. Besides, Nidoqueen is still burned, so besides the extra damage each turn, Earthquake is even weaker since it is a physical attack. Another Flamethrower gets Nidoqueen to the perfect spot for burn damage to knock it out. Back to Nidoking, and we're still handling Earthquake really well. Flamethrower is doing much better at dealing damage, so we are for sure outpacing Nidoking right now. Despite that, Nidoking hangs on with what has to be 1 health remaining. This time, I can see a little bit of health left, but barely. But we're still in a good spot here though, even if Giovanni heals him. He's switching? Oh, well now we have to deal with the stronger Rhyhorn. Flamethrower still lands and does a decent chunk of damage. It responds with a weak Earthquake, and then we easily one-shot it with Giga Drain. No choice now but to face Giovanni's really beaten up Nidoking. Well, now he uses a Hyper Potion, but that's alright since 2 more Flamethrowers from us easily wrap up this battle, and we get the last badge of the game. Love it when all it takes is a little strategy like that for a win to be possible. Now we just have to see how we look against our rival before jumping into the Leaf War. Well, everyone, it finally happened. Alakazam is the threat we've all been waiting for. This thing is actually one-shotting me with just Psychic. Sure, it's the strongest Psychic move in the game, and we are 2 times weak to that move, but I really thought we would hang on and still be able to do something to take it out. I mean, I'm pretty sure we can one-shot it in return if we had the chance to attack. But eventually we got our opportunity. But first, Pidgeot hits first with a wing attack, barely survives a Sludge Bomb, hits us with another wing attack, then we take it down with us repeating Sludge Bomb. Alakazam is now out. The AI really threw us a bone considering in this instance Alakazam opens the battle with Calm Mind. That doesn't protect it from Sludge Bomb, so that was an easy one shot like we expected. We level up to level 67 and now have to face Rhyhorn. Not much to say except Giga Drain like we all expected. Gyarados is annoying with Intimidate, but hey, its Hydro Pump misses. Sludge Bomb has really lost its firepower, and we appreciate power, but we stick with it. It almost takes Gyarados out, again, with these really tiny slivers I can barely see. Do I need new glasses? Anyway, we take it out in the next turn easily, but not before it takes a little over a quarter of our health from finally landing a Hydro Pump. Charizard follows, and its Flamethrower isn't doing a lot, but that is due to the Rain Dance Gyarados set up before it fainted. Sludge Bomb is not hitting quite as hard as I would like here, but it really is our best move in this situation, especially since Charizard soon gets poisoned from it. But we are not out of the woods yet. Charizard's next Flamethrower takes us to 24 health, and we would have for sure lost if Rain Dance wasn't still active. We take Charizard down right after that, but we need to be careful with Execute now out. Sludge Bomb should destroy it, but still, oh right, I forgot that of course we are faster than Execute and there's no way it was going to hang on from that attack. Okay, we won, we can breathe easier now. But not too easy. Our biggest challenge in this game is now ahead of us, the Elite Four, and again, our rival. It shouldn't really come as a surprise that I'm battling everyone we come across on Victory Road. We got a good bit of a level lead, but we all know that most likely will not be good enough to get these wins. There's not much to say here when it comes to strategy. We basically need to hit hard. I would say fast and hard, but have you seen our speed stat? I feel like the Elite Four is neither good nor bad against poison, so typing wise, it doesn't really give us a lot to plan. I mean, Agatha won't be fun since her team is basically the poison team more than it is the ghost team, but everyone else we just need to focus on taking out with brute strength. By the time we get to the entrance of the Elite Four, this is how we look level and stat wise. Solid attack all things considered, and defense isn't too bad, but that's really all we have going for us. And remember, there are a lot of special type attacks coming our way in these future battles, and we have some special type attacks ourselves that we need to deal. With these stats, we are not well equipped for either of these situations, and our speed is going to be nothing but a hindrance in most of these instances. I don't have a good feeling about this, but we need to jump in and see how things truly look from here. So keeping with my kind of pessimistic tone, we are not getting a win against Lorelei at this level. Now, don't get me wrong, we are holding our own well for the most part, but these battles are a marathon, not a sprint, and by the time we get to the end, we cannot outlast this team. It is nice being able to land poison or burn status conditions on Lorelei's team, but that doesn't make the battle easy. I'm sure most of you were expecting Lapras to be the big problem, and you would be right. We got really close to beating it, but we just didn't have enough to seal the deal. So we already need a grind, but wait, we actually do have a bunch of rare candies, and I was thinking about saving these for later, but what if this is all we need to beat the game? Okay, we'll give Archangel a few rare candies and save the rest for later, because I feel like we're probably going to need them. So we're now at level 75 when we revisit the battle. Things are looking better, not outstandingly better, but there is a marked improvement. The big takeaways from this point of battling is that Lapras is actually possible to take down. Not always, but she will faint in some instances. But this brings a new problem to our attention, Jinx. This is a similar problem we had with Lapras, where we are just too beaten up by the time we get to Jinx that we can't endure the rest of the battle. We also had an attempt here where we couldn't even beat Dugong, so clearly we're not going to win at level 75. So let's use some more rare candies and see if we can get the win from there. Now, we're at level 80, things just keep improving. Dugong is still faster and sticks with Hail as an opening move. Sludge Bomb is still our opening move and it deals a lot of damage as well as poisons Dugong. The problem is that poison damage takes Dugong to red health, and that means Lorelei uses a full restore to heal up. Flamethrower was going to be our finishing move, but obviously it's not now, and it hardly does anything when it lands. Dugong adds some protection by starting a safeguard, so we won't be landing any status conditions for a while. I don't know why I stuck with Flamethrower, but I did, and to no surprise, it doesn't do much. But I think now Dugong is in damage range for Sludge Bomb to bring her down. Yep, she was. Cloyster's now out, and this thing can be annoying if it uses Protect a lot. Or Lorelei can waste a turn having it lay spikes. I'm not going to complain about that. Flamethrower deals a lot of damage here, but Cloyster is still in the yellow. Of course, for its next move, Cloyster uses Protect. Actually uses it 2 turns in a row. So there are 2 turns wasted. Safeguard is now lifted, but we still have a turn wasted because Cloyster just started a dive. When the move lands, it doesn't do much, and it gives us an opening to finally finish Cloyster off with another Flamethrower. Now it's Slowbro's turn, and this thing has been really tanky in this battle. Giga Drain actually has some use here, especially when it lands as a critical hit, but Lorelei is probably going to heal up next turn, and since Slowbro is using Amnesia, that move is not going to hit nearly as hard from here on out. Oh, actually Lorelei doesn't heal up, so Flamethrower just knocks Slowbro out. Well, I wasn't expecting that, but it's nice being at full health now that Lapras is out. It doesn't last long though, since Lapras is still faster than us and hits us with Surf. But we handled that attack pretty well actually. Lapras doesn't handle Sludge Bomb nearly as well, and since the safeguard is gone, she is now poisoned. Her berry brings her back to the green, but poison damage takes her back to the yellow. She responds with a Confusion Ray, but it doesn't affect us on the first turn, so we get another Sludge Bomb out, which officially knocks out Lapras. Jinx has been a nuisance, and it doesn't help that we are confused with her coming out. Of course, that probably is the least of our worries since we are now asleep from her lovely kiss. She likes opening with that move a lot in these battles. Same thing with Attract, which follows in the next turn. We luckily wake up in the next turn, but then unluckily hurt ourselves in confusion. Jinx now switches to the offensive by landing an Ice Punch on Archangel. To add insult to injury, we hurt ourselves in confusion during this turn as well. Jinx tries to put us to sleep with Lovely Kiss, but it misses, so you'd think this is where our luck would turn around. But nope, we take confusion damage again and then fall asleep from Lovely Kiss. Leftovers gets us back to the green, but Jinx's Ice Punch negates that progress. We do get fortunate in waking up the next turn, snap out of confusion, and beat the infatuation, so we finally land a Flamethrower. Someone look up the odds we needed to have that move land, because right now I am too stressed to do the math. Jinx survives it, but we still have a chance. Yikes, barely though, since Ice Beam takes us to 18 health. But then we get some extreme luck again, with our next turn having everything fall into place for us to use Flamethrower one more time to officially win the battle. So many factors went into that battle, and there was such a sweeping tide of good and bad luck, but we were officially strong enough for Lorelei. Now, if you'll excuse me, I think beating Bruno will be a much easier experience. Both Onyxes are easy to take down with Giga Drain, obviously, but the second could have been scary with its Earthquake. Now we have the fighting types to deal with. Hitmonchan and Hitmonlee can't withstand Sludge Bomb, but Hitmonlee did get a Mega Kick in before fainting. The champ is all that is left for Bruno. Sludge Bomb brings it down to yellow, and it responds with a Scary Face. I think that's a wasted turn in my opinion, since our speed is already bad, and we easily withstand the champ's Cross Chop and take it down in the next turn. But whatever, a win is a win. Now, Agatha is another battle I have been dreading. As I mentioned earlier, she is the Ghost member of the Elite Four, but what she really is the Poison member of the Elite Four. For those of you just tuning in, Grimer is pure poison, so he may resist those kind of attacks, but it also means that her whole team will resist our stab Sludge Bomb. We have exhausted a lot of our power points for our other moves, so we need to be strategic about how we attack here. And if you can't tell by the extremely sped up footage on the screen right now, we did not do that on the first attempt. I forgot to replenish power points before starting the battle, and I did quit this attempt because by the end of it, we were trying to use up all of our Acid Armor power points so we could get to the point where we could use Struggle in hopes of winning. And in reality, we would not have been able to sustain a win like that. Okay, we have more power points this time, so let's see what we are really dealing with. Gengar starts the battle off with a double team, which doesn't matter since we landed Flamethrower soon after. It deals almost half of its health damage. We then start getting PTSD flashbacks with it confusing us with Confuse Ray. Yep, of course we hurt ourselves in the next turn. We then take a little more damage from Gengar's Shadow Punch, but the good news here is that we snap out of confusion. Flamethrower takes Gengar to half health, which means Gengar gets the full heal up next turn thanks to a full restore. We are back to using Flamethrower, and this is still going to take several turns to bring Gengar down. 2 more Flamethrowers takes Gengar to just a sliver of health, and I have a feeling that Agatha is not going to heal up this time. And I was right. Gengar uses another Shadow Punch, and we take it out with Sludge Bomb. If it didn't miss. We try again, and this time Sludge Bomb lands. The first Gengar is now down, but not before we took another Shadow Punch. We are now at level 81 too, which is nice. Honor's next, and this thing is a bit of a downgrade stat-wise, so Flamethrower hits harder, and with the burn tacked on, this thing will not be hitting us real hard. Of course, none of that matters considering it just hits us with a mean look before we take it out. Now we have the stronger Gengar, and this thing can withstand Flamethrower better. We do handle its Shadow Ball pretty well though. We get it into yellow health, it heals up a little bit, misses a Hypnosis, and oh, and our Flamethrower was so close to taking it out. But Gengar's Hypnosis misses again, and Agatha doesn't heal it up either, so Flamethrower seals the deal this turn. Now we just have the non-ghost but still poison members of Agatha's team. Golbat would be easy if Archangel knew Thunderbolt, but it doesn't. And Golbat using a Confuse Ray first can throw a monkey wrench into the whole thing. We are still using a whelming Flamethrower, but Golbat's Air Cutter hardly does anything, and we snap out of confusion soon after. Flamethrower almost hits hard enough for Golbat to fall. Now Agatha brings out the full restore. Whoa, that critical hit Sludge Bomb was clutch though. Here comes another Confuse Ray, but that doesn't stop us from using one more Sludge Bomb to take Golbat out of the battle. Arbok is last, but its Intimidate means nothing to us for the rest of the battle. Hurting ourselves in confusion at the start of this exchange isn't great, but Arbok can't do anything to us. Flamethrower isn't hitting real hard here, but we are sticking with it as our offense. A couple more turns of that move and we finally bring Arbok down, giving us victory over Agatha. Okay, time for a major heal up and then Lance. This battle will not be easy, but all we can do is get it started and see how things really stack up for us. Well, where we currently stand, we can only take out one member of that team. Gyarados can be a little tricky to take down, but we can still manage that. But REDyTay is a monster in this challenge. It's fast and it hits really hard with Ancient Power and Hyper Beam. This is going to be tough. Another attempt at level 81 went better, mainly because I decided to replace Acid Armor with Shockwave. Let's be honest, we really haven't used that move during this stretch of the game, and we could really use an electric move here. It's not the most powerful option, but it doesn't miss, and that's nice. This will help out a lot with Gyarados, considering it is 4 times weak to electric moves. That being said, it doesn't one-shot, which leads to Lance using a full restore. But after another Shockwave and a Sludge Bomb, we get Gyarados out. The threat REDyTay is back. It opens with Wing Attack, which is weird to me, and then Shockwave lands the critical hit that almost one-shots REDyTay. So close. Lance doesn't heal up though, and instead REDyTay misses a Hyper Beam, letting us move forward in the battle while still being at green health. Dragonite is next and immediately starts attacking with Outrage. It hits hard enough for us to fall to half health, and our Sludge Bomb is not so impressive now. Leftovers brings us to the green, but the next round of Outrage brings us into low yellow health. Sludge Bomb is still our move of choice, and I am so glad that it is, since Dragonite is now poisoned. It negates the effects of its berry, and now Dragonite is confused from Outrage. This helps us a lot, since Dragonite hurts itself the next turn, and that puts us in the perfect spot for Sludge Bomb to bring Dragonite down. Well, we technically have the biggest obstacles of this battle behind us, but we still have to deal with the 2 Dragonairs if we want to win this battle. Sludge Bomb does great work here. 2 of them take out the first Dragonair. Things are a little tight though, due to Dragonair hitting us with a Hyper Beam before going down, but we have to stick with this plan for the last one. This one paralyzes us right away with Thunder Wave, but we still get a Sludge Bomb out for some damage. Dragonair then attacks with its own Hyper Beam, and I'm thankful for Leftovers healing us since we fortunately are still standing, albeit in red health. I am also thankful that we don't get paralyzed in the next turn, so Sludge Bomb hits and we successfully beat Lance at this attempt. That actually went better than I thought it would. I thought it was going to take more attempts than that to actually beat Lance. Now all we have to do is beat our rival one more time, and this challenge is all wrapped up. Pidgeot is the first hurdle we have to deal with. Aerial Ace doesn't do much, but our Shockwave is really lackluster, all things considered. I stick with that move, which turns out to be a big mistake, since our rival strategically withdraws Pidgeot and instead sends out Rhydon. It's immune to electric attacks, so this turn quickly turns into a dud. The good news is this thing cannot withstand Giga Drain, so it's really easy to take down. Alakazam is now out, and it's the biggest threat we have in this battle. We are at full health, so this is a good spot to be when it comes to this exchange. Here comes the sidekick we've all been dreading, and yes, it's not a critical hit, so we might be in the yellow, but that just means we are still alive to fight for another turn. With its terrible physical defense, Alakazam cannot handle one Sludge Bomb, so bye-bye scariest part of our rival's team. Now we still need to be careful since we don't have good health at the moment, but we can still do a lot here. Executor is next up, and it immediately puts us to sleep with Sleep Powder. Its Egg Bomb is a little scary since it's doing more damage than I was expecting. Also, it's setting up a light screen is not ideal for later, but for now another Sludge Bomb is perfect for removing Executor from the battle. Pidgeot is now back out, and we go for Shockwave, even though we know the light screen is going to hinder it. Its Aerial Ace does take us into the red, so this is getting scary, but Pidgeot is in yellow health now, so we still have a chance. Leftovers gets us back to yellow, and Pidgeot's Sand Attack might bite us in the butt later, but for now it can't stop Shockwave. Well, Light Screen can't stop it from being a knockout. Our rival heals up from there, and we're just buying time for the Light Screen to fall. It does eventually, and I am glad it does since we can't keep taking these Aerial Aces. But even with our electric move being at full power, Pidgeot is still standing with a sliver, which means our rival takes the opportunity to heal again. We keep sticking with our strategy, but that just means we get a third instance where Pidgeot is standing with a sliver and our rival heals up again. Well, at least we have him using up his healing items here. Fourth time is the charm. Pidgeot is in the red, so are we with 5 health remaining. Our rival doesn't heal up here, and we finally take Pidgeot down. But as you can imagine, we don't last long with Gyarados now out. It's faster, its Intimidate lowers our attack stat, and we only have 20 health after Leftovers does its part. One bite, and we are done. Okay, not trying that again. We leave the Elite Four, use the majority of the money I've saved up to get coins so we can get the TM for Thunderbolt, so we don't have to gamble and replace Shockwave with this better electric move. The way I did this basically means we have to redo all the Elite Four battles all over again, which is why we're still level 81 when we revisit our rival, but Thunderbolt is such a better move for this battle. It hits much harder, but a win is still not happening at this spot. Thunderbolt doesn't always knock out Pidgeot, and when it doesn't, we have to basically do a coin flip on what attack we're going to do next. We either stick with Thunderbolt, which will easily knock out Pidgeot, but our rival could switch it out for REDyTay instead, so that move is a dud. Or we can preemptively switch to Giga Drain, so when our rival switches to REDyTay, we can knock it out as soon as it pops up. But if our rival doesn't switch, then we waste a turn doing hardly any damage to Pidgeot since it resists grass moves. I have been blessed and cursed by both these options because I relived the scenario over and over, so I have to repeat this battle over and over. But this dilemma is not the reason I have to keep redoing the battle. Both Pidgeot and REDyTay go down sooner or later, no matter which path happens in the battle. It's just Alakazam always spells our end. Psychic wrecks us in a lot of these attempts. This might not be Generation 1, but this thing is a crit machine. Now in some instances we do get past it, but those attempts are still winless thanks to Gyarados facing a really beaten up Archangel. Oh, and yes, we do see Charizard some, but it's just like facing Gyarados. We just can't hang around long enough to take him down. Well, I guess we don't have a choice but to use up the rare candies we have left. I'm glad we found so many of them in this run. Back at it at level 86. Things are better, but in the big picture, it's hardly noticeable. The end result is the same, and I did many attempts at this level, but I don't really feel like talking about them because it would sound really repetitive to what I described about battling at level 81. So I'm going to get Archangel to level 90 and see if that ultimately is what we need to end this challenge. Please let this not be another situation where we can only win at level 100. Like I mentioned earlier, we've already used up all of our rare candies, so now we're just battling the Elite Four over and over again for experience. Let's see how things really look at level 90. Pidgeot is still faster than us, and I'm really hoping that Sand Attack doesn't haunt us. Thunderbolt does land though, and it's still a little shy of a knockout. Our rival doesn't switch out for REDyTay, but instead uses a full restore. So we once again guessed incorrectly, meaning we deliver a weak Giga Drain to Pidgeot. And now we really have to worry about Archangel's accuracy since we've now been hit by 2 Sand Attacks. Still, we're able to get a Thunderbolt to land, but Pidgeot still manages to hang on with what has to be 1 health. Pidgeot finally attacks us, but it's just a weak Aerial Ace. And our rival doesn't use a full restore here, so our Giga Drain, which we used on the off chance REDyTay came out, actually knocks Pidgeot out. Alakazam time, and instead of attacking right out of the gate, it sets up a Reflect. We're fortunate that Sludge Bomb hits, but unfortunate that it wasn't a one-shot. But we're fortunate again that the move poisons Alakazam. That and its synchronized ability can't work on us. I figured that our rival would use another full restore here. I would if I were him, but I'm forbidden from using items in battle. But he doesn't use one, so we take a Sidekick and land another Sludge Bomb to remove our biggest threat of this battle. Executor is now out, and I know the Reflect is still active, but Sludge Bomb is still the move of choice if it didn't miss. Dang Sand Attacks, and of course we fall asleep from Sleep Powder on the next turn. We take some damage while we're asleep, but the good news is the Reflect wears off during this period. We soon wake up and Sludge Bomb actually lands, so Executor goes down from there. REDyTay is next up, and this is great timing. We really need to heal up before the last 2 Pokemon after him. It's not full health, but of course we'll take what we can get. We reach level 91 and Gyarados soon comes out. Intimidate lowers our new attack stat, but for now we just care about Thunderbolt, so we're all good. It does some damage with its Hydro Pump, and our Thunderbolt leads to an easy one-shot. Now we need to figure out Charizard. We got really lucky with this Fire Blast missing, but the kicker is our attack misses too. Its Slash doesn't do much, especially when you compare it to the Thunderbolt we just hit it with. Charizard is still in the yellow after it ate a berry, and things continue to work out for us since its Fire Blast misses again. We land one more Thunderbolt and the challenge is officially over. We enter our name and info, and we are now once again Pokemon champions. This challenge was kinda brutal, I'm not gonna lie. We had some smooth sailing parts, but for the majority of this challenge, things were not clear cut for Grimer. I still think a big reason this run was so difficult is because Poison is not the best type, but in reality, Grimer's stats were definitely not the best, and that was probably our biggest weakness throughout the game. But look, in the end, we won, and we even did it below level 100. I hope you liked this challenge. For my next video, we are sticking with Generation 3, where we're going to see if we can beat Pokemon Ruby with just a Spoink. Should be a really fun run. Love Psychic types, and the stats are not going to be doing us favors, so we'll have to see how we come up with some of these wins. I'm also in the process of playing through Pokemon Yellow to commemorate its 25th anniversary release in the United States. If you want, check that out and maybe share what that game means to you in the comments. Also, I forgot to mention this, but recently I made a Venmo account for this channel. I had a viewer ask me if they could tip me, and I figured this was the best route to take. And this is exactly what I tend to use it for. It's just a tip jar. Don't feel pressured to use it. I'm not expecting a lot of traffic with it anyway, but if you do want to, you can scan the QR code on the screen or look up REDyTay on the Venmo app. In the meantime, feel free to check out some of my other challenges, and don't forget to like and subscribe for updates and leave comments about what you enjoyed, what challenges you'd like to see in the future, and any suggestions for improving these videos. I always appreciate creative input. Thanks for watching everyone, and until next time, Geronimo.